about it.
Okay. Hi Chelsey, thank you for joining us with everythingcapetown.com for our Women Month's campaign. Can you tell us a little about who you are and what you do?
So my name is Chelsey Kayla. That's who I go by on social media, and that's my public name. So anywhere on socials, you can go and check it out, Chelsey Kayla. I am a full-time student, master's candidate. I'm graduating at the end of this year, and I'm specializing in conservation science. I've also got a business called Chelsey ZA, and that makes me an entrepreneur, which I think is so great. And people don't like to use that term, but I love using that term. And also I'm a content creator, so I do a little bit of everything, but they all interlink, and that's who I am. I'm 28 years old, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Sounds a lot. Tell us about your schedule. Or like how do you like put it all together on different aspects of each type of thing that you're doing?
So my schedule is quite hectic. People always tell me just baie besig. My mom, the people who know me in my space always tells me I'm so busy. I don't see myself as a busy person, but I guess others can see it. So when it comes to scheduling, I don't like to have a very static schedule. I always tell people I like to incorporate their timelines into mine. And I'm blessed enough to be remote, working with all aspects, so the student side of things, the entrepreneurship and the content creation, I work from home. So I don't have a static schedule, however I do keep a calendar. And I always tell people, send me dates and times and we can move it around. And I work my schedule around what is in demand. So I like to prioritize. So I prioritize what's urgent, what needs to be seen to in the near future, and then what I have maybe planned that can be moved around, that is flexible.
Love it. Okay. On to the next question. What attracted you to this industry? The nature conservation, the content creation, the Chelsey. How does it all interlink, and what attracted you?
So I naturally am an outspoken person. I've always been, I was that person with a teacher that talks too much, needs to focus. That's the type of person I am, and I always feel that even growing up, I have something to say, and especially for those who don't have a voice and don't have a platform, maybe, who don't have the confidence to even speak up. I always felt like I can be a voice for the voiceless. So in all aspects, where my studies are concerned, nature conservation, we know animals and plants and the environment can't speak for itself. So I always felt like that's what attracted me to that industry, is that I can be a voice for those beings that don't have a voice. Where it comes to Chelsey as well, the holistic and the spiritual side of things, like we're all connected to nature. That's just how my belief system is, and I feel like that nature and the spiritual side has so much to offer into our daily life. Again, like I said, bringing that in and being a voice for the voiceless. And then, yeah, the content creation, what more can I say? That's literally speaking up and bringing things to light that are generally maybe not in everybody's everyday conversation. So I like to bring that and incorporate that in, well, just make people think. That's kind of where my brand is at with the overall, and they're all interlinked because I can be my own content creator for my business. My business links in with, I can talk to people about nature and the environment and how that links to our full wellness and well-being. And then also in my studies and in nature conservation and conservation science, there is business to be made. I mean, we live in an economic world, so there is business to be made, and also encouraging people, students, go and study, go and better your knowledge and your knowledge bank, because that's one thing people can't take away from you. So with my content creation moving in that direction, they all interlink and they all meet somewhere in the middle.
Okay, perfect. With that note, on the last part of what you just said, is there any advice for any youth or any other woman coming who want to bridge into this industry, the nature conservation or the wellness or holistic type of entrepreneurship?
So one thing I would, and I always encourage people, is that I'm a Scorpio. That's my sun sign, and my moon sign, I'm a Capricorn, and according to the astrology, that's like the strongest combo. when it comes to productivity. So because I'm a Scorpio, I stick by my guns. Everything's black and white, there's no grey areas. And because I'm a Capricorn, I'm very meticulous about what I do and how I do things, and I can strategize well. So with those two things interlink, I can always tell people is that tap into that side of your being. Don't be afraid, especially as a woman. You maybe feel that you don't have a place, or you feel too scared or inferior. Go for it. I always tell people, we're going to talk about this once, but when we talk about it again, there needs to be action. So do something, get started, just go for it, because there can only be two outcomes, a yes or a no. And whatever the outcome is, you can take it from there. So I know it's scary, the unknown is very scary. It's scary for me as well, and for a lot of women as well, and young women and women of color, because we've been in situations of oppression so often, or we feel like we're not being heard or taken seriously. We have to push through. So get it done, stand your ground, believe in what you believe in, and make others believe in what you believe by being so confident in your beliefs.
Absolutely love it. And on that note, the next question is, was there any challenges that you faced or come across since being introduced into this field that you're in?
So entrepreneurship has been, I think, the biggest challenge. The other things came naturally. Content creation comes naturally. I think there's a space for everyone online. You just need to kind of find your space. And I think the generation that we are in we have an advantage, because there is a community for everybody out there. A lot of people feel like there isn't. We are so connected, there is a community for every single person out there. So the content creation, there weren't many challenges, being a woman or a woman of color or a young woman. But the entrepreneurship has been a bit difficult, because people feel like they can take advantage of you, or they can demand things, or they can just, especially customers. We know customer care. I worked in the retail industry for 4 or 5 years, and I know maybe that is an advantage, but being an entrepreneur has been so challenging, because as a woman, people feel like they can just walk all over you, or you can't necessarily run a business, or you're not equipped because it's a man's job. You know, a CEO is a man in a tie and a tux. But technically, us as entrepreneurs, we are CEOs of our small businesses. So that is one of the challenges, is people taking you seriously. But the only way people will take you seriously is if you take yourself seriously. And that's very, very important. Even in my studies, even in the conservation sector, it is very male-dominated, and older male-dominated industry. But the only way that they're going to take you seriously, because they think, oh, you're cute and you're sweet, and they'll, you know, play around, they'll joke around, whatever, in the industry and whatever. But the only way people will take you seriously is if you take yourself seriously.
Good, love it. And then lastly, can you tell us about anyone, or specifically any other woman, or professional woman, personal, in your capacity, that you know, that you have drawn inspiration from?
So I don't generally follow influencers or have influential people in my life that I look up to, because I feel like nobody should be put on a pedestal, because we're all fallible. We all have, you know, our flaws and our faults, whether it's in my personal life or online. However, someone who I admire and have been admiring for the past few years is Bronwyn, the Queen of Josie, on social media. She's very real. She's also an entrepreneur, also content creating, and she has another background, also a studious background, that she's also quite proud of, and that encouraged me to be proud of and be able to wear all these hats. And the way she presents herself was very inspirational to me, because it shows that I always thought, I feel like I'm doing too much, I'm doing too many things at once, but you can, as a woman of color in this country, you can make a difference, you can make a change, you can create a community online that will support you, and all you have to do is be confident in what you're doing. And she's built my confidence online quite a bit, because that's the way the world is going. It's your online presence, unfortunately, does make a difference, but it also fortunately builds your everyday confidence as well. And then of course my mom. If anyone inspires me in this world, and that is my mom. I know it's a cliche answer maybe, because I guess most women look up to their mothers, but my mom's not a career woman. She hasn't studied beyond matric, grade 12. However, she's constantly learning and evolving, and I've seen that in my own life, and she always tells me she's always learning from me and from experiences, and there's always a learning opportunity. And I think that has been my greatest advantage, is that I can learn from my mom, because the fact that she can learn from me, her daughter, means that I can learn from those around me, whether it is someone younger than me, older than me, someone in higher status or lower status than me, in a job situation, or whatever the case may be. You should not disregard, or how can I say, neglect the opportunity to learn. So that is a big inspiration for me in every aspect of my life. Never feel that you have learned enough or that you know it all. There's always, always, always room for improvement.
Love that. And then lastly, I'd like to ask, is there any future goals or future things that we as the audience can look forward to from you as Chelsey, as the nature conservationist, the Chelsey brand, or content creator? What can we look forward to?
So for me, I've got big goals. I've always been a dreamer. However, over the past few years, I've left everything in time's hands, in destiny's hands, in God's hands, in the universe's hands. In a sense of what is for me will find me, and I just go with what feels natural for me. And at the moment, I'm rebranding myself. I've always been maybe an entrepreneur, and the content creation has been very strong in my presence, whether social or in person. But I feel like I'm now stepping into my era as a young individual heading towards 30 years old. Yay! And it's important to also encourage people to be proud of their career and their passions. And my first love and my first passion is people and planet. It is conservation science and making a difference in the world. And I've always been having imposter syndrome, and those who know that imposter syndrome can be very crippling. But like I said, there's a space for everyone. And I feel like going forward, I need to move into that space where I feel comfortable and create spaces for others. So with Chelsey, I do want to broaden the reach and get more people involved, where I'm not just a one-person business, which was my initial, and that's why the name Chelsey comes from. It's Malay for collective, where people can integrate and work on a bigger, better brand and reaches people and makes change. And in my sciences as well, I like communicating with students academically and encouraging people to advance their knowledge and their academia, because we need more knowledge in the world, and expertise and speciality, and people being passionate about things, so things can get done and not just floating through life. So where academics are concerned, where my business is concerned, and content creation, I'd like to merge the three once I've graduated, and create a platform for those who are passionate about various things in the world, coming together into a business where a collective, and my Chelsey family will now call them a collective, where we can influence and inspire one another and do things that make change. And obviously social media is one of those platforms that are reaching those we don't have direct access to in everyday life. So going forward, that is where I would like to be at in the next few years, where I can gather all these people who are passionate, who have the same mindset, and we can go out there into the world and make change.
Perfect. Okay, so how can others who don't know you, how can they reach you, and how can they follow you and your next goals in the year and the future?
So my TikTok presence I think that has the biggest reach, which is crazy, because I started off in lockdown, and now it's like you go out and you can't go out to someone being like, "Are you the girl from TikTok?" And I'm just like, "Yes, I'm the girl from TikTok." But it's never in a negative light. So I'm grateful for that community on TikTok, so you guys can check me out on TikTok. It's Chelsey Kayla. I've also got an academic one, which is currently growing, which is Matthys et al. I published my first scientific paper, which I think is a great achievement for a young person of color, a woman in our industry, because I never had that inspiration. So now I can be an inspiration for others. So if you're in the academics, go and follow that social media as well, helping students out how to navigate this industry, and not just the industry, academia in general. And then Instagram is Chelsey Buns, And yeah, everywhere else is Chelsey Kainer, Chelsey Buns. Follow the journey, Kulexi_ZA on all platforms. It's exactly the same. You can go and purchase your holistic spiritual tools. And also, besides that, even if you just want to have a chat and speak and find people who's like-minded, go and follow Kulexi, and we can make things happen and make change in the world. Yay!
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chelsey. We look forward to seeing more from you. And once again, thank you for participating in our campaign for
Thank
Women's Month.
you. Thank you for having me. I love that we're doing this Women's Month. As women should be celebrated. If not, why not? Like I said in the very beginning of this interview, there has been a history of us being oppressed and our voices not being heard or not being taken seriously, and it starts with us doing that for one another. If one woman can uplift another, we can definitely get to where we need to be.